have to become yourself.
Welcome to Creating a Buzz About Health podcast with Paula Carnell.
Hello. Now, I've been doing quite a bit of training in companies and I've been invited in to do talks for corporations. And I realise that there's things that I share there that are very precious and interesting that could be of value on my podcast. So I'm going to share a few things that I talk about when I'm in a business environment. Now, you may think, oh, what have bees got to do with business? And most people, their first thought would be, oh, well, you could have bees on your roof of your office and you could be making honey. But I'm not talking about that kind of relationship with bees, although I do get involved in that kind of project. But what I'm talking about is how bees work as an organization, as a super organism, and what we can learn from that when we're running our own business. Now, I've had my own business since I was 20 years old. So I've learned quite a bit about having teams, building teams and working together, and also working collaborations or collaborations with other companies, how you can make this work. And the more I understand about bees and how they work inside the hive, the more I can see that we can use bees as a metaphor. We can actually share and learn from the wisdom of the bees and what they have figured out to actually help with our own business. So if you've got your own business, whether it's just you and you're working with clients, or if you actually are within a big business or you run a big business and you're thinking, well, what can I learn from bees? I've got several little connections. So the first one I'm going to share today is based on this quote, and I believe it's from Professor Tom Seeley. And it is that when a bee sees food, it dances more. Now, when you think, what on earth has that got to do with business? And why does a bee dance when it sees food? And this is all to do with communication. So the bees, their food is the forage. And when a bee finds a really good source of nectar or pollen, it'll return to the hive and it tells the rest of the colony exactly where this forage is. And it does this telling in the form of dance. So the bee will dance. It's called the waggle dance. And she'll be doing figures of 8 and she'll be wiggling her abdomen and her legs will be on the wax comb and she'll be trembling and wiggling. And each of these movements changes the vibration that she's emitting in the wax. And then that vibration is transmitted all around the hive through the wax. And then all the bees in that colony get to know exactly where that forage is. Now, the add-on to this quote of when a bee sees food, she dances more, is that when a human sees food, they eat more. And this is the big difference between a bee's mentality and a human's mentality. And obviously not all humans will do this, but generally, and maybe if I was to say you found a bar of chocolate in your cupboard and you saw it, well, you're more likely to eat it because you've seen it. But how many of you would then go and tell the rest of your family, hey, I found a bar of chocolate. Who wants to share it with me? Depends on the size of the chocolate, depends who else is around. And, how big a piece do you feel you need? Now, if you were a bee, you would find that chocolate and before you ate any of it, or you would just have a little nibble and you'd go and you'd tell everyone and you'd share it out equally. You'd be like, oh, here you are. Or more to the point, what the bee will do is collect it in and it would be stored and that bee wouldn't even get to taste any of it because bees rarely get to eat the honey that they produce. So there is this selflessness that bees have and this sharing of information. Now, there's another quote, which is from Willie Robson, who is a bee farmer in the north of England. And he says bees have a corporate memory. Now, this is related to where they find the forage. It's no good to a colony of bees if a single bee finds this forage and doesn't share that information in the hive, because that bee who's a forager, she's in the last 3 weeks of her life. So she could die at any moment after finding this piece of forage. And when she dies, that wisdom has died with her. But if she shared it with that colony, and quite often a forage could be flowering for a number of weeks, not just for that day. And if she shared that knowledge, it then gets shared amongst the whole hive. And this is the relationship with a business. A corporate memory means that that bit of knowledge, that bit of wisdom stays with the company. So if you employ people and you pay your staff to learn something, maybe you've said, right, I need you to find out how to solve this problem. When they solve the problem, if they didn't share it with the company or they didn't write an SOP, then when they leave the company for whatever reason, that bit of wisdom is lost. But if they followed procedures and shared it into the company, put it into the company pot, then that bit of wisdom becomes owned by the company, and it is then accessible to anyone else who needs it in the company when it's relevant. And this is so important. And this is the difference between normal human beings and businesses. As a business, you need to work together. You need to share this wisdom. You need to really hold on to any learnings. Otherwise, you're going to keep making the same mistakes and your business is not going to grow. So I hope this little nugget is helpful to you. And I'm going to share some more little business nuggets from bees. And if you know of anyone who would find this interesting or who even needs to hear this, please share it. And of course, if you're not already following my podcast, just click the follow button or subscribe button, so then you won't miss the next tips. Thank you very much.
You have to become yourself.
Join us next time on Creating a Buzz About Health podcast with Paula Carnell. Buzz you later.